This is going to be Jurgen Klopp's 2013-2014 tactics when he was at Dortmund for PC, console and mobile. Trust me, mobile viewers as well, we absolutely cooked with this one. Let's get into it. It's going to be a banger. This tactic, guys, PC first, it absolutely cooked. We are going to be playing on that old school database to obviously get a vibe of the team. Remember the good old days at Dortmund where we win 31 games out of 34 and only lose 3 games in the entire season. Obviously with 0 draws. We win the Champions League against Barcelona in a very comfortable 2-1 win. We win the Pokal here, which is going to be against the likes of SC Freiburg in a 4-1 fashion. A dominant game right there. And also the German Super Cup against FC Bayern. So 1 up on Bayern again. We love to see that one. But this, in terms of the league, I mean, we absolutely done a madness in it. As you can see here, and by the player ratings, I mean, Lewandowski, Mkhitaryan with the highest average rating, Marco Reus, Lucas Piszczek, and also that is going to be Schmelzer. Just playing on this old school database is so much fun. Obviously reminiscent the good old times, some of these old school players, there's never a player like them nowadays, so it's really good to play with the database sometimes. I will say it has also been tested off this database in the actual main game, and it works really, really well as well, so do not worry about that. Going over to the team stats, we're going to absolutely batter everything, really. Most points per game at 2.74, the most goals at 121, the most shots, the fewest shots against. Possession-wise, we're not going to be rank 1. This is definitely not a possession-based tactics. Of course, it is going to be the gegenpress style. Fewest conceded and also the most clean sheets. Really not too much to hate at all about this tactic so far. Well, we are going to be scoring 3.56 goals every single game, conceding only 0.44, over 17 shots every single game, an 88% pass completion, and a tackle win ratio coming in at 78.78. A very good season with Dortmund. How did it do with a bit of a weaker team? Associate Liverpool with a weaker team, but trust me, on this database, they are not the strongest team in the Premier League by quite some distance. However, we do come out and win the Premier League. That is unfortunately the only thing we do win on this database. Obviously, I will stress this very highly. They are nowhere near the best team in England back in, 2013, 2014. They still had Suarez, obviously, but of course, a lot of their players, especially the back line, was a little bit ropey. Mignolet in goal. Not ideal. Runners up though in Europa League. Unfortunately, Benfica winning on penalties. A little bit unlucky there. These two are absolute knockouts. It's not great, to be honest with you, but because we overachieved massively in that Premier League, I'm not too fast at all. You can see here, Steven Gerrard actually was our top goal scorer from midfield, doing what he does best. My absolute GOAT. We love to see that. 20 goals coming in. Van Persie, obviously United player, 21 goals for him. Lukaku, when he was at Everton in his prime. We've got Glenn Johnson picking up the highest average rating in the league, by the way, which is incredible. Luis Suarez again. Glenn Johnson with the most assists in the league. I mean, it shows how good the tactic is. You've got Glenn Johnson top of the assist table. Going over to the stats, so it's going to be most points per game, most goals, most shots and fewer shots against. These 4 stats here, you are always going to be dominating because it's so aggressive, it's so fast-paced, and you are going to do really, really well. And to be fair, it's not a tiki-taka tactic, but we are averaging quite a good amount of possession over in the Premier League with 59% of the ball compared to Man City with 62 and Arsenal with 63. Fewest conceded, ranked second in that category and also third in the most clean sheets. But what is the data hub saying? Still very, very good. 2.89 goals per game, 0.87 conceded, basically 20 shots every single game as well, an 87% pass completion and quite a tidy tackle win ratio. So no offence Liverpool fans, it is a bit of a weaker team current to what you got now. I mean, at the moment, your team's very, very good. Lastly, it is going to be Mainz. Obviously, a team predicted very low down. I believe they are predicted around 13th, so not the greatest team in the game. I did test it in the same division as Borussia Dortmund as well, because we were never going to obviously win the league, and we did come out and finish 3rd, so a massive overall accomplishment there, obviously getting Champions League football alongside the Borussia Dortmund, FC Bayern, and of course, Schalke, which is very sad to see how they are at the moment compared to how they were back in the day. Of course, a very, very big difference. Unfortunately, Hamburg do knock us out in the Pokal in the 3rd round, but the Bundesliga, obviously we've seen this before, Borussia Dortmund did take over, and they are going to dominate the leagues here. But to give you a rough insight, the 4th best at conceding goals and, the most clean sheets is really, really good to see. Also 3rd with the fewest conceded. Possession-wise, the fact we're even in this top 8 is absolutely remarkable. Most goals, 2nd place over Bayern, over Schalke. Really, really impressed right there. 3rd place in, obviously, the fewest shots, and most shots coming in at 2nd. Obviously, a lot behind Dortmund because their team's sort of up here, we're down here with Mainz. Going over to the data hub though, 2.35 goals a game, just over a goal conceded, but again, we are scoring over double it, so it really doesn't matter. Over 13.5 shots every single game, a very tidy pass completion, and the tackle win ratio, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the highest it's ever been. But of course, it is about this Dortmund team, isn't it? The Dortmund team 2013-14, Aubameyang on the right-hand side, playing it into Lewandowski, who, by the way, him at Dortmund was really something else, wasn't he? I mean, what a player before he went to Bayern, of course. And this was a very comfortable 4-1 final in that Pockle. Mkhitaryan, another player who really did make himself the player he is in this Borussia Dortmund team. Unfortunately, we do go ahead and concede a goal, but it really didn't matter because at this point, I still was very, very confident. I mean, Weidenfeller as well, what a throwback of a keeper. And honestly, if you've not played this database, please play it. It's honestly a ton of fun. It will honestly make you fall in love with FM again. It's a lot of fun to play, seeing these old school players, and look at that, Piszczek getting an assist. I mean, you don't see that nowadays, obviously, as we are going to play it back into Gundogan, obviously previous of Dortmund, finishes it off. What a final. And of course, the Champions League final against a very strong Barcelona team. It's going to be Lars Bender of all players, plays it into Piszczek, and that, in terms of a tiki-taka goal, does count as it. We're not even meant to be playing that way, but we got the job done. And this Barcelona team is your Messi, Neymar, you know, the names. If you want to see that tactic, be sure to get this video to 60 likes. I'll make that bad boy happen, as we do actually win it very late on with a bit of a blunder from the Barcelona backline. Valdez has a bit of a stinker. And to be fair, if you look at their team, I mean, we've done very well to win the final. And we deserved it massively. We actually obviously had less possession, but more XG, more shots. We deserved the final. Sorry, Alexis Sanchez is injured and lost the Champions League. And just because I've got a fair few English viewers, I guarantee some of you are Liverpool fans, this is going to be a 6-1 win with that 2013 as Daniel Sturridge, Mr. All of That, you remember that one. He comes in and gets the first goal very early on. Victor Moses into Glenn Johnson. Moses takes it back inside and absolutely rockets it past Howard in goal again. What a player he was. Lucas Leiva into Sturridge, into Moses again, who, to be fair to him, against this Everton team, is absolutely having his way because they cannot simply stop him. Jose Enrique with a ball in it into Aga. I mean, who remembers these players? I mean, you should do if you obviously grew up watching this team. I mean, honestly, incredible seeing some of these faces again. Into Gerrard on the edge of the box. That one I'm sure the Liverpool fans are really going to love to see. Obviously, one of their all-time greats, let's be honest with that one. Glenn Johnson back into Coutinho, again a player I used to love watching in the Premier League. Everton, to be fair, despite conceding 6, they do get one goal here, a ball in from Oviedo into Lukaku, a bit of a scrappy one to be honest, and Jagielka does get the goal, but as you can see by the stats, they got absolutely battered. But now, of course, if it's your favourite part of the video, that is going to be the tactic breakdown. If you are enjoying, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. And if you guys are interested in joining the other 2,650 people, you can come and check the Patreon out where you get loads of perks. You get access to all 3 of these tactics. You get them early. You get the mobile. You get the console tactics as well. You also get priority in the tactic and the rebuild requests. You get the rebuild files. You get one-on-one tactical help. You get enrolled into the monthly giveaways, which at the moment is £100 over on PayPal. There's around about 13 perks to being a Patreon, so come and join up. The link is going to be in the description. But the player roles is going to be the sweeper keeper, who is simply going to be on the supportive duty. A wing back on the right on attack, again simply on a default because we don't need to overcomplicate it purely for the sake of it. The wing back on the left is going to be on support, and he is going to be on run wide and also stay wider. We then opted for 2 central defenders because I personally don't class either one of these players as a ball player, so both are going to be central defenders. A ball and midfield player on the right hand side of the midfield on support, simply on hold position, and next to him is going to be that deep line playmaker, the Gundogan, simply on the default. Again, we don't need to overcomplicate it if we really do not need to do so. These 2 here are really going to protect that back line because this front sort of 4 we've got going on is very, very attacking. On the right hand side is going to be the inverted winger on get further forwards, and on the left hand side is going to be an inside forward on support, on shoot more often, roam from position, and also sit narrower. And in the middle is going to be a player who was probably the player of the season, to be honest, Mkhitaryan, the advanced playmaker on attack, on move into channels. And lastly, Lewandowski, you've got to have the advanced forward, and you've got to have shoot more often because he is just a bit of a bagsman. Over 50 goals worth, I believe. 59 to be exact. Team instructions all based off the Gegenpress. That is quite obvious on the positive mentality. We're going to leave this to blank. For you, it is going to say fairly wide. For me, I am on the clean slate, so it is going to be saying standard, but for you, it will be fairly wide. Pass into space. We're going to play out from the back. We're going to keep this as standard. For you, it will say slightly shorter. We're going to go with the tempo. It's going to be set to higher. We're going to run at defence, and also we are going to work the ball into the box with mixed crosses. Now, this tactic is very high, very aggressive. A lot of fast-paced football being played. played, and it's not going to be the best for possession. Despite the stats you see, you're not always going to get them stats, because obviously if you're playing as a smaller team, it's going to be almost counter-attacking. So be prepared for a very fast style of football, fast-paced. Make sure you're resting, training, and obviously, of course, rotating your players. Transition, quite common sense, but we're going to go with counter press, counter, distribute quickly, and play to the centre-backs. Lastly, the out of possession, we are going to go with, of course, the high defensive line. With that mid-block line of engagement, it works really, really well with this Dortmund team. We're going to go with much more often when it comes to the trigger press, and of course, we are going to get stuck in. Now to a much more attacking version of this tactic is going to be the goalkeeper, who is going to remain the same. The wing-back on the right and also the wing-back on the left are going to be the same, apart from one thing. The wing-back on the left is also now going to be on attack, on the same instructions, but now switch from support to attack. Both of the central defenders do remain untouched. The deep line playmaker remains untouched as well, but a Volante comes in on support, on tackle harder instead of the previous role. The inverted winger on the right is also now going to be on attack, and the inside forward on the left, of course, is also going to be on attack, on shoot more often, roam from position, and of course, sit narrower. In the midfield, we're going to go for shadow striker on the default instructions. Again, they always come with these 4 defaults, so you don't really need to add anything on. He already is going to be dribbling more, taking more risks, etc., etc. And the advanced forward doesn't need to be changed either. Of course, the gegenpress on the attacking, so from positive to attacking for this second variant, pass into space. We're going to get the fullbacks involved now by overlapping left and obviously overlapping right. We're going to play out from the back. We're going to keep this as it was. Of course, the higher tempo is going to remain. The mixed crosses remain. The work ball into the box. Now, this is iffy because if you are desperate for a goal, you can take this off. Your shots won't be as higher quality. You might obviously have shots from the edge of the box, but if you are desperate for a goal, that is something you can do down to your individual game preference. We're going to run at defence, and we are going to be more expressive. In transition, it's going to be practically the same, in fact, the same, but counter press, counter, distribute quickly, and play to the centre-backs. Possession a little bit different. We are going to rock this high press line of engagement. We're going to go with a much higher defensive line. Of course, we're going to max out the press, and we are going to get stuck in. Now, for the underdog teams, or if you're trying to defend a game out, the sweeper keeper remains on the same. The wing-back on the right and the left are both going to be set to the defensive role on the default instructions, alongside of 2 default central defenders, so a very risk-free back 4 there. The DM comes in on the right on support and hold position and tackle harder, and a ball-winning midfield player comes in instead of the DLP on support, on take fewer risks, dribble less, shoot less often, and also hold position. So a very, very low risk midfield right there to protect the very low risk back 4, because we still want this front 4 to obviously go out and score us some goals. A winger on the right is going to be on support on cross from the byline. On the left is going to be an inside forward on support, simply on the default instructions. In the middle is going to be an attacking midfield player on support, simply on move into channels. And lastly, we're not going to change him because we need a goal scorer. It's going to be the advanced forward on attack, on shoot more often. Now, this is where the tactic changes. It's still going to be the gegenpress on the positive mentality, but this is going to take a much more sort of passing approach. Try and up that possession to, above the 60% mark. We're going to pass into space. We're going to play out from the back. The directness is going to go all the way down to much shorter. The tempo is going to come down to 1 also to slightly higher. We're going to dribble less. We're going to work the ball into the box. And these instructions basically mean your team aren't going to be as sort of direct on their attacks. They're going to be much more controlled in possession and hopefully have more of the ball, which is why there's also a change in this tab here. So we are going to counter press. We're going to have nothing selected here. We're going to distribute quickly to anybody across the back line while taking short goal kicks, because I basically want us to get it away from the keeper, get it to the centre backs and get it to the midfielders, play it around, short passing, keep it simple and just try and frustrate the opposition. Lastly, we're going to rock with that standard line, the mid-block line of engagement, and much more often. Nice and simple. Over to the console. So over to the console, how did it perform? I've seen the comments. Why always PSG? How about Forest Green then, a team that are very weak in Sky Bet League 2, and we performed an absolute miracle. We didn't get automatic promotion, that would have been way unrealistic. We did, however, get promoted through the playoffs against Doncaster. Now, what I will say, it's very interesting, 112 goals being scored, Matty Stevens as the top goal scorer, and honestly, it is remarkable this is, because this just goes to show if you are going to use it for Dortmund or a Liverpool or a PSG, you are absolutely going to take over your save, outscoring everyone in this league. Yes, we did concede a fair few goals, but we are expected to do so. Obviously, we are not a great team in this league at all. Data hub-wise, we're going to be scoring over 2 goals a game, a 78% tackle win ratio, an 86% pass completion, and over 15 shots every single game. But that is one hell of a season. And again, you can catch the console and the mobile tactics exclusively to the Patreon. Honestly, you want to give this one a whirl. Mobile, I went over and tested with PSV. Again, they are one of the better teams, but Ajax, Feyenoord, all can knock you off the perch a little bit. But we come out and won the league quite comfortably. Obviously, So you can see there a 7-point advantage, only losing 5 games over the entire season. But this is where it gets very good, because not only do we win the Dutch League, we also win the Johan Cruyff Shield on penalties against Feyenoord. But the big one, going to be winning the Champions League against Man City in extra time. This is by far one of the best, I think it is the best mobile tactic I've ever created. You need to go over and get it, because trust me, if you're playing with like a strong team or a PSV, you've got to get the job done to a very good level. But that is going to be today's video wrapped up. It's going to be every platform covered, PC, console and mobile. Free, all of them. Klopps, 13, 14, Dortmund tactics, done. Be sure to leave comments on what you want to see on mobile, PC or console. We're doing everything. We really are. Also check out the second channel. We are now going to be doing rebuilds over there once every 3 to 4 days. So be sure to leave comments as well on teams you want to see rebuilt. Enjoy the rest of your day and I'll see you in the next one.